now recording.
Oh my god, yes.
Yes. So, hello and welcome to another episode of the Natural History Central podcast. Today, I am joined by, of course, the regulars, Kalama Cow,
Yo.
Yo-Yo,
Hello.
Armin,
Hello there.
and we also have a very special guest on the podcast today.
Special.
Very. The YouTuber, Edaphosaurus.
What's up? Yes, I am on this podcast now.
Yeah. So
Don't get used to him.
yes, this is a special guest. Depending on how well this episode goes, we'll no.
This is also my final episode because everything's going to go so badly, and I'm going to lose all of your subscribers.
God.
And
I mean, considering the quality of our previous podcasts, things can only go up from here.
True.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. So obviously, with Edaphosaurus on our podcast today, it's only natural that we talk about everyone's favorite Permian sail-backed pelycosaur. Dimetrodon is the subject of today's episode. What exactly is Dimetrodon?
A dinosaur.
It's a dinosaur, obviously.
Oh god.
second rate sailback.
Yes, it's a sphenacodontid pelycosaur, I believe.
Yeah,
Yes.
yes, correct.
Yeah. Yes, a sphenacodontid pelycosaur, most notable for the very large sail on its back formed by the vertebrae. Other pelycosaurs also had this, of course. Sadly, no names come to mind at the moment. But
Secodontosaurus, isn't it one of Pelycosaur? Or something else?
I was being sarcastic because there is a certain one that could come to mind, but the name eludes me.
Oh my god.
Oh god, okay, that went straight over my head.
Ianthosaurus. I think you were thinking of Ianthosaurus.
Yes, definitely, that one. Sphenacodon as well, an important one, which we will actually be referring to later.
Acodon doesn't have a sail.
It does have doesn't it have the short
It has
sail?
a hump. Secodontosaurus is the fox-faced one, the narrow-snouted, large sail.
No, I'm pretty sure I'm thinking of exactly Sphenacodon.
Okay, we are. Yeah, right.
Yes,
Wait.
it has the very short sail, and it will come into play when we talk about Dimetrodon's sail in quite an important way.
Yep.
This one won't be mentioned again, but Titanospondylus had a bit of a sail, I think.
With a name like that, which means like Titanic vertebra, yeah, I would assume so.
Yeah.
But no one's sail was as impressive as Dimetrodon's, basically.
Oh yeah.
Among the
Definitely
Sphenacodons.
not.
Obviously, Edaphosaurus had a better sail than any of you bits, but you know.
Yes. So it had an incredible number of species, 13 species to be precise, with one dubious species as well. And Armin, do you want to talk about one certain species? Because all of these species of varying sizes and the like are from North America, except for one species.
Yeah. One species, which was described back in 2001, actually was found outside the US. As Akira already said, everyone was from the US, like Texas, Oklahoma, Texas, Oklahoma, etc. Except for one, which was Dimetrodon teutonis. Anyways, which is actually from Germany. Which, I'm gonna bring it up right here. It explains why Walking with Monsters has set its early Permian segment in Germany. So
Although it literally didn't have to do that at all, because all three of the animals featured are from the North American Texas.
The only
sites.
difference it makes is the environment, really. But we'll bring that up later.
Yes, that's coming up a bit later.
Yeah,
I'm-
each species was from the US except for one, which also happens to
well,
be the
except for
smallest.
two
of-
actually. Except for two.
Canada.
Yeah, there
Oh.
is the one from
Canada
Canada.
is just
Yeah,
Canada is
Canada
just
is
off
US
in
now.
America.
Canada is US now, I guess.
Yes. Apparently.
You heard it here first.
North Texas.
Yes. So yeah, the German species also happens to be the smallest one so far.
I actually have a picture of the German species in comparison with one of I believe the largest Dimetrodon angulensis.
Yeah, I think that's the largest one.
I'll
what
just
I
post the
remember.
image here.
So yeah, it's ignore the half sail, please. We'll get to that later.
I got this.
I can't ignore that.
I had this image. I had this image ready for a later segment I will talking about, but just generally, this is sort of the scale. D2 Tonis. Actually, I don't know why I shared that picture. There's a very good one on Wikipedia as well with all the sizes, which I'm sharing
Well.
now. Yeah, ignore the half sail. Okay, none of that happened.
The half sail is sin.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's a
this-
paleo meme.
So yeah, you can see D. angulensis being the tallest one, and D. teutonis being the tiny one in the bottom middle.
The adorable one, which could probably fit into a terrarium or something.
Then there's the Metrodon lumisi, and I'm just eyeing that one up because he's committed a sin.
Yes.
Yes, there's a certain sail-backed animal there as well, but serving the role it has always served, dinner. So that's Teutonis, and there's another species of Dimetrodon which is noteworthy, which is from Canada, and that is Dimetrodon borealis.
A creative name for a Canadian animal.
Yes, it was originally called Bathygnathus borealis, meaning deep jaw of the north, because all they have of it is a jaw fragment from the left maxilla. However, the interesting thing with Dimetrodon borealis is that it was actually named that Bathygnathus, the genus, was named before Dimetrodon. And what this means is that when in 2015 they merged Bathygnathus with Dimetrodon, ordinarily Bathygnathus should be the name that is kept, and all of Dimetrodon species should be renamed as species of Bathygnathus. But what has been proposed is this one thing called reversal of precedence, where one species, where the genus named second has just such greater presence in publication in the scientific circle and also in the pop culture and media as well. That also helps. And Dimetrodon vastly outweighs Bathygnathus in that respect. That the name Dimetrodon is conserved. It's a protected name, and Bathygnathus is lost. The ICZN, the International Commission of Zoological Nomenclature, I believe, has not yet confirmed this decision, but as it currently stands, it is fair to refer to Bathygnathus as Dimetrodon borealis, and it is thus the only non-US species along with Dimetrodon teutonis. There's not much to say about Bathygnathus or Dimetrodon borealis because,
Other
like I
than
said,
to make the obvious joke about Bathygnathus borealis at this time of year, at this time of day, localized entirely within your kitchen.
Oh yeah.
May I see it?
It has been
Well,
cancelled.
yeah.
It has been lumped back into Dimetrodon. You may not see it.
Well, you
The
seem like an
Moria,
odd
the house
fellow,
is on fire.
but you seem a good Dimetrodon.
Oh, it's a Canadian expression.
yes. So I believe that's all we can really say about Dimetrodon. Quadrupedal as well. They have this jaw with teeth that are quite interesting. Edaph will mention more about it shortly.
Also bear in mind that Dimetrodon is quadrupedal because that'll come up later.
Yes, Or
There
like
was somebody
quadrupedal.
who thought it was bipedal.
Okay.
Really?
No,
Wait.
no.
It's not bipedal.
It's
Okay,
not
we're getting
Wait,
ahead
you're
of
telling me,
ourselves.
you're trying to tell me that the Megalodon is not just a juvenile Spinosaurus?
Oh my god.
Well, I
No way.
can't believe it.
Come on. I'm on the channel. You have to say, I don't believe it.
Oh,
I'll,
yes.
in the
I'll leave
scores.
the accents to you. And last time I tried to do one, it failed horribly.
Oh yes, that we've got that recorded as well, haven't we?
Yes, we do.
Yes. That was a lovely accent, which I won't say which one because that'll spoil what we talked about. But yes.
Shouldn't it be out by the point this one is uploaded?
No, this one's coming out in like 2 weeks from now.
Oh. Okay, yeah. Well, fair
Yeah,
enough.
this one's going to be the one released right after the server challenge.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes. Anyways, shall we get right into, I believe, the first? Oh, do you want what do you want to do? Teeth or tail?
Teeth, go
Which of
straight
them?
for teeth. You already.
Teeth.
Go
Yeah,
teeth.
Teeth.
Yeah.
Since we already
That's
mentioned
my
that.
bit.
Teeth. Edaph, if you want to go ahead.
Right, okay, so Dimetrodon teeth, this was a, I think it was 2014 study, Brink and Rice, looking at Dimetrodon's tooth morphology, and what they found was they studied a number of different Dimetrodon species, and I think they also did a few sort of other pelycosaurs and sort of synapsids, and what they found was that, so there were 3 species. There was a small one, very primitive one, Dimetrodon milleri. It had straight teeth with cutting edges. So sort of for going after small animals. Then Dimetrodon limbatus comes along, which is slightly more recent. It had saw-like teeth, but they were still quite small. And then Dimetrodon grandis, which is not the biggest Dimetrodon, but it's one of the larger ones, and it's also one of the best known ones. And it had like proper serrated teeth. I'm not sure if they were much like a dinosaur's, but they were properly sort of serrated for cutting. So Dimetrodon grandis would have been going after pretty hefty prey. Well, we'll go into prey later, but sort of decent sized things. It's not going after, like, I think even Dimetrodon milleri is sometimes thought of as going after insects predominantly, which, given it's the very earliest Permian, you still had a couple of the large insects as a hangover from the Carbonivorous. So that might have been what was on its menu, but grandis was definitely onto some larger things and some more fleshy things.
Right. So yeah, doesn't
Very interesting
Dimetrodon?
stuff.
Yes. Doesn't Dimetrodon also have slight heterodont dentition? I mean,
Well,
that's
it's
also one
literally
of the
what the
things.
name
It's the
translates.
name.
Yes.
It's Dimetrodon. Yes. So
2
yeah,
types of teeth, pretty much.
yes. Now I'm trying to
That's what
remember
the
if
name translates.
all of the species have that, or if it's only some of the later ones. But I'll just have to see if I can find a Dimetrodon tooth set or something.
Right.
So it's, I don't know if anyone has an image of a Dimetrodon skull, because I can very hurriedly open it.
Yeah.
Right, I can get one real quick.
No, I will get one. I mean, shush.
I've got one right now if you want it.
Oh, come on.
Okay.
Well,
Edaph,
I
go
got
ahead.
to feed
Okay,
it
that was
again.
pointless.
Man. Slow,
Okay.
yo.
Oh man.
I'm just slow, yo, at this point.
This part must be so confusing for people who are watching the YouTube video, and they just hear about 5 minutes of people arguing about who's going to upload a photograph.
We had worse before.
We've had worse.
We are going to have worse in the future as well.
Oh yeah.
So on this,
I mean, we just uploaded the Pachyrhinosaurus video, which is, I think, our lowest point when it comes to things happening behind the scenes during the episode.
Yeah.
Oh, that was quite something. Okay.
Yeah.
you only uploaded it like half an hour ago from when we're filming this now, and it's an hour long. So some of us haven't heard this episode yet.
Yeah. No, that's fine.
So the Dimetrodon, as you see on the image, so its back teeth are all fairly uniform, but then it has these really large front teeth in the jaw. It also has a bit of a notch in the front of its snout, a bit like
Yeah.
your very first episode star, the Edaphosaurus, which also links into possible dietary discussions because there are possible overlaps with diet. But yeah, so its dimetrodonty in this case is the fact that it has these is that 3 or 4 sort of really big fangs either side of the jaw that sort of come down, which I guess is kind of a precursor to the later sort of saber-tooth nature of Gorgonopsians and stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, that's obviously what's named after the 2 different types of teeth that it would have had. And also that's a pretty good like a Dimetrodon skull. But one thing that was very poorly preserved when Dimetrodon was first found, if I believe maybe not preserved at all, was Dimetrodon's tail. Armin, you want to take over from here?
This is like kind of almost an expedition to the retropaleoid section, except that I don't have any retropaleoid for it. But
yeah, this was solved fairly early, so before the retropaleoid that we usually discuss.
Yeah, this was like early 20th, late 18th, 19th century, I mean.
Yes.
And so basically the tail, I'm not sure if it wasn't preserved at all or just very poorly preserved. Nowadays we know that Dimetrodon had a pretty solid tail. Well, early reconstructions were a little bit more on the short end.
Oh god, ew. What's that? What
I
is
mean,
that?
it does
so
look
wimpy.
very cute. I'm not gonna lie.
It's kind of adorable, but
It's so wimpy.
we also have a great tech on it by CM Kosemen. I hope I pronounced it wrong. I hope I pronounced it right.
Wow, that's
okay.
So yeah, he basically dug up this old idea and put it on paper, which resulted in this one.
See, I don't. It's actually kind of it makes it look more like a mammal-like. Well, I keep saying mammal-like reptile.
Yeah, true.
I'm so old school.
It
But
looks
it's
a little bit
more,
like a Cynodont, in a way.
Exactly. Yeah. So
Just with a
ironically, that sort of reconstruction is almost more defensible than the sort of lizardy, really long, loopy tails.
Like the
you get
But
classic.
it's really
later.
cute. Look at it.
yeah.
And this is obviously, Kosemen obviously knew it wasn't accurate, but that's kind of the point of the artwork.
Yeah. And then quite a while later, they actually discovered its tail, which was as you've seen in the
1927.
1927. Thank you. And as you've seen in the other artworks, it was really big, as long, if not longer, as the entire rest of the body. So far more lizard-like, almost like a monitor in some respects. Monitor lizard.
But yeah, obviously, nobody thought about PC monitors when you said that.
Yes.
Yeah. And the tail, it makes up most of the length of the body, but the caudal vertebra near the end of the tail become very slim, which is probably why it was reconstructed with a very, very short tail.
Yeah, like the Scott Hartman skeletal has it kind of on the short side as well.
Yes, I'll be sharing that one later. But yeah, so that's pretty much the tail. It's pretty straightforward stuff. Absence of any evidence led to a misconception, and then it was solved quite normally later on. But other misconceptions about Dimetrodon have not been so lucky. Namely, I'll be discussing about several sort of misconceptions, but also past theories about Dimetrodon's sail. I'd like to start off. Yes.
Quite a handful.
Yeah.
Especially a very recent misconception.
I'll be starting off with a recent one, and then I'll be talking more about its function, because that's not so much a misconception. It's more just science being uncertain.
Yeah, it's just kind of disputed, and that's it.
Yes. Now, in 2012, there was a paper by Rega et al. I don't know if I'm pronouncing Elizabeth Rega et al. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but I hope I am. which looked at several specimens of the species of Dimetrodon, Dimetrodon giganhomogenes, which is one of the larger ones. It's not the largest, as we said, that was Dimetrodon angulensis, but it was definitely at the upper end. And what she and her team noticed was that the tip of the spines were twisted. They were actually very bent. I'll be showing a picture of what they would have looked like. That's just the tip as well. So completely bent, twisting all sorts of ways. But what they inferred from this, among other things, was that the area that had the tip could not support the fleshy skin. It just had no connections for the fleshy skin. The injury, I would just like to say, is pathological. It's not that it would have grown like this. This was not the intended way for a Dimetrodon giganhomogenes' spine tip to be like. But whatever... Sorry?
The paper? Did they consider that in the paper, or did they just jump straight to...
No. The paper actually studies the pathology and says it was damaged, and then there was no regrowth. It did not heal itself. It healed itself well, but it did not restructure itself back to what it originally was. And that the area here would not have supported a sail. Now they leave it unclear whether or not this was actually always gonna lack a sail, like all individuals lacked a sail, or merely the ones with pathologies. The sail did not regrow there.
Is that where the meme started?
Yes, this paper, 2012, is exactly where the meme started. So they said that the tips were exposed in these specimens. Okay, be it pathology.
What is that specimen though? It's
the two specimens. It's multiple specimens. So either it's a species thing or it's just those specimens. They weren't sure it was entirely pathology. It was entirely due to pathology. They didn't go that much into that. But of course, what this led to is a series of reconstructions like this one.
Or the one we showed earlier.
Yes, which
I take it to the extreme. When it said the ends of the sail could have been exposed, the whole thing got kind of bent around and turned to the extreme, with many people basically saying the sail was more like a muscle going halfway through the spine, and the rest was entirely exposed.
And as you can see, also, they did not restrict it to the species in question, Dimetrodon giganhomogenes. Here, they've gone and applied it to Dimetrodon angulensis.
Surprisingly, not to Teutonus.
No, probably because Teutonus was too tiny. But
which is I mean, I can imagine it could get damaged, like such a gigantic sail. And those spines aren't so thick as well. Like they're like thin bones. It could have gotten damaged quite often. I can imagine, at least.
Yes. Thankfully, a really good paleo artist, Nobu Tamura, has gone and actually done an accurate reconstruction, so we can see what actually the paper was arguing for, which is this.
Yep.
This is Dimetrodon giganhomogenes, so the correct species with the correct amount of bending at the top with the correct sail. Because the paper does explicitly argue for a sail as well. I don't know where the muscle thing came from, because they explicitly go into discussion of the role of the sail later on.
Well,
I know. I just realized where the misconception comes from. Anyways, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, you might have been about to say it, but I heard it was something about they only had access to the abstract. So a bunch of paleo artists found the paper, and they had access to the abstract.
Never do that.
No one had worked out how to use Sci-Hub at this point, so no one had access to the paper. So everyone
praise Sci-Hub, please.
Yes.
Sci-Hub, yes. But initially everyone's just reading this abstract, and as anyone who's basically done any sort of work where they've had papers and they've just been like, oh yeah, I'll just read the abstract, and then that just never works because what's actually in the paper is often quite different. So if in the abstract it's just something like, oh, the ends of the tips of the sail were damaged, then
And it also mentions something else, which we'll get into shortly, about collagen, muscle fibers. So I think that might be what led to the muscle thing as well. But yeah, so basically, just to sum it up, this is what the case is. This right here.
I've got a question because I haven't read the paper myself. How many of these ends of the spines are like that?
Quite a lot. There's a lot of them. Not sure quite how many actually, but it's not just like a couple, and it is multiple specimens as well, which is the interesting thing that bear this pathology, including the holotype of the actual species.
So, like, would that mean they just got damaged pretty often, like a lot?
Possibly, at least in this species, which brings me to pointing out
and that this is environment and stuff like that.
So this species is doing something that's hurting its sail, or
I mean, considering how long and thin the vertebral spines of Dimetrodon are, I could easily see how they would break quite often.
Yeah.
Like it's not like a Spinosaurus, for example, where like very broad.
Especially if they were exposed in life as well, like without a pathology, which is a possibility.
Yeah.
It's unclear if the sale was limited because of the pathology or before the pathology.
True.
We can't know that. And the paper does not, take a stance on that. But yeah, just to conclude, several specimens of this one species have this thing. Not a half sail, and it's only this species, so it's kind of erroneous to imply that it was a thing for all 13 species.
Especially if there are 13, my god.
Yeah. And a lot of which, I believe there's 10 of which are found in the Texas and Oklahoma redbed locality. So that's 10 species in the same rough area. Okay, maybe not at the same time.
Were they like living together? All these like how many of these species?
No, I believe they were spread out over a period of time as well.
Okay.
So it's not 10 in the same locality. I mean, that would have been a bit much, I can see.
That would have been a bit much.
The red bone is like divided into 3 distinct stratic
the red beds, yes. Yeah. Right.
Okay. So 10 in 3 different like times and and like the same locality, but like 3
not exact locality. The Texas red beds span 2 states, Texas and Oklahoma.
Okay. Yeah, that makes more sense.
So basically spread out over greater area over a greater time.
Yeah.
How exactly and which species could actually meet each other, I don't know. That's like something you can look at.
I mean, they were successful if there were so many species specialized in different things. It was a pretty successful animal.
Yes, definitely.
Absolutely.
Now, since we're still talking about the sale, I'd like to bring up something that the paper mentions, which also refers to the muscle misconception that I mentioned earlier. The paper argues that there were collagen muscle fibers near the base of the sail, which would have stored energy as well, and argues, and also would have made it a bit more rigid. And the paper argues that, in fact, locomotion was the reason for the sail, not the commonly held idea of it being because of temperature. Basically, there was the thermoregulation theory, which originated in 1940, but was first published, I believe, in 1973. That's the earliest paper I could find, which argues that the sail was a giant, increased its surface area and would have helped it warm up in the morning by turning the sail to face the rising sun and help it warm up quicker over its sailless. The animals that shared its environment with its sailless contemporaries.
Mm-hmm.
But this paper argues against it, which is something also in line with other papers I've called into question. And it argues against it for 2 reasons. Firstly, the sail was inefficient for heat distribution. I'm quoting the 2012 paper here when I say any blood vessels in the soft tissue of the sail were not communicated through bone vasculature, nor are emissary foramina for blood drainage in evidence. So all of this warm the blood that would warm in the sail would not pass through the bones. It would not spread that quickly to the rest of the body. It would have been inefficient.
Kind of like it wasn't. It wouldn't be something that it would use.
And secondly, remember how he mentioned Sphenacodon, the really short-sailed version of Dimetrodon, so to speak, relative to the ancestor of Dimetrodon, a relative to the ancestor. And this paper, along with, based on as well others, I believe a 2010 paper, have argued that that's obviously how Dimetrodon evolved. Something that sounds a bit obvious, but that the sail would have sprung up from a much shorter sail akin to Sphenacodon.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The question, of course, being a short-sailed animal like Sphenacodon would not benefit from temperature regulation because the sail would just be too short to actually absorb anything.
Yeah.
The thermoregulation thing only works if suddenly overnight the massive sail sprouts out. Because there's no short-term benefits to having a sail.
Yeah.
So what they
especially
suggest
for thermoregulation.
Yeah, exactly. So what they suggest is that the short sail, and which gradually became the long sail, helped with running.
What?
It helped with locomotion because the sail would have reduced dorsoventral bending. Its body would not have bent back and forth whilst running, meaning it could run more freely and it could only run like side to side motion, making it more effective.
So
it wouldn't sort of be.
aerodynamic.
Yes, welcome, Sassy.
Yes, welcome, Sassy. Why wouldn't you just make the like your like spine just more stiff, or?
Well, it did by lengthening the spine and developing the collagen fibers. This is making its spine more stiff. So it would have not sort of bounded and flopped about, but it would just have run sideways.
Yeah, like a lizard.
Although I imagine that at some point in the evolution, sort of these sorts of structures, they get to that point, and then it's just any more growth from that point isn't necessarily going to be exponentially beneficial for running so much as it is adapting a structure for display.
Yeah, probably.
Yes.
That is another thing. Why wouldn't you just make a short sail that would just
So
what
evolution doesn't have an end goal, so it could have easily started out with running and would have grown through sexual selection.
Yeah. So say
no
you're
reason why the snail wouldn't have two functions develop with each other.
So you know,
probably a mix of.
Say you're so let's say you're the ancestor of Dimetrodon. No one has sails, but the other proto-Dimetrodons with slight sails are going to be more attractive to you because they are better runners than the ones without sails. So sort of as the species evolves, it favors anything with a slightly larger sail, and then that just keeps going and going and going until you've got a sail that's 1.5 meters tall.
Exactly. So not thermoregulation, basically. It seems unlikely, as this paper and others have pointed out, that it was used for thermoregulation.
Did you say the size of the Dimetrodon?
Well, we shared the picture. I mean, it's roughly like 3.5 meters long, I believe, in Dimetrodon angulensis.
Mm-hmm.
But that's including like a 1.5 meter long tail. So
bear in mind those are the later species of Dimetrodon. I think the bigger ones are generally later.
Yes. With the exception of D2 Tonnis, we'll get to why it may have been small later on, because that one was actually like a diminutive species.
Yeah.
And there's a distinct reason for that. So now that we've sort of tackled the sail of Dimetrodon and all that, we're going to move on to Dimetrodon's gait, how it walked, which is also something I'll be talking about. So bear in this.
Well, it obviously spoiled like a lizard because it's a lizard.
Yes. No,
Sassy. Pay attention, please. It's a dinosaur, not a lizard.
Yes.
Get your statistics right, Sassy.
It's everyone agreed it was the missing link between the sailfish and the Spinosaurus. Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
It was a cousin of T-Rex. We all know that.
Oh god. Yeah. Anything.
Anything that ate meat is a cousin of T-Rex.
Even if it doesn't eat. Everything's a cousin of T-Rex.
Now, back to Dimetrodon, the actual Dimetrodon, the Pelycosaur. Dimetrodon's gait is, sadly, now we're getting into the things about Dimetrodon that are really interesting, but nobody ever publishes.
Yay!
Again.
Yay.
It's like the pain of our existence. Unpublished papers, stuff that comes up after we talk about it, and fragmentary remains, and tooth taxa, of course.
Yeah,
Those four things are like our arch enemies.
Ichnotaxa.
Ichnotaxa are fine as long as you don't mistreat them and think they are actual genera of animals.
They are
when really
their
they
own separate animal.
Okay, Dimetrodon gait. Nothing published, but there are several trackways called Dimetropus trackways.
Oh, they are?
Very
There are? Well.
Yes, they're called Dimetropus trackways, which were probably made by Dimetrodon or a Dimetrodon-like animal.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
Yes, but what these
It's the
shows that
same
these
thing.
animals were walking with, they were not belly dragging, basically. There's no marks of belly dragging. They
That's
were
one
not.
misconception. Just
Yes,
debunked.
that was a big misconception. But these trackways show that they were actually lifting their bodies off of the ground when walking. The question is, was this an upright stance like modern day mammals say, where their legs are directly below their bodies?
Or lizard leg.
It was more like a crocodile.
Like a high walk, basically.
Exactly, that's the term, a high walk. The best source on this matter is by Scott Hartman, who did a big study sort of on Dimetrodon when reconstructing his new skeletal. I'll share it here. So, as you can see, he's taken a lot of things into account. He's got a bit of a shorter tail for Dimetrodon grandis than usually depicted. He did quite a lot of research into the back of Dimetrodon. Yes. And what you can see here is that based on the trackways, he's reconstructed it running a bit like a crocodile, like this picture that Yo-Yo posted.
Yep.
Where crocodiles will lift their torsos up, although they will stay on their stomachs most of the time. They do lift their bodies up to walk and run. Dimetrodon in Hartman's skeletal is being depicted as running. Such a happy boy.
Yeah.
And we've got a bit of a life reconstruction here based on Hartman's skeletal. Showing sort of what it would have looked like in life. It's a bit rough, but sadly, most of the other depictions of the high walk Dimetrodon have the half sail, which is lovely. This is the only one.
Hold on. So that design that Scott Hartman put up, it was actually then adapted, and I'm just going to post the picture.
Oh yeah, it didn't. Wait, I think
that's
Mario...
really tiny. That's really bad.
Wait, I think I actually know one that.
Hold on. There we go.
Hang on. I think I know one that actually adapted this one into a version without the half sail, if I can find it. Hopefully.
There we go. Oh, it's
okay. That's bigger. Yeah.
There we go.
Better,
so they did it. There was a t-shirt company called Permia.
They've done a lot of Hartman's work.
Yeah, and that's a nice reconstruction of the Dimetrodon, properly done.
Yeah. So, I'm sorry, but that sail either looks like the inside of an orange or the Shell logo.
It's true.
Come on, this don't disappoint me.
I'm just going to post the same picture again, but now not on a t-shirt.
And you can make advertisements for other people.
Okay.
This is not advertising. This Kickstarter campaign was like 2 or 3 years ago. Okay. This is.
Okay, yeah, I got one.
Okay, excuse me. What the hell did I find? What is this? Why is this?
You know what I found instead?
Oh no! Off topic again. I started it.
Becomes first Canadian dinosaur.
No. That's intentional because it was originally identified as a dinosaur and it
Disgusting.
was first.
Disgusting.
So that's.
That makes more sense.
Okay.
Yes,
I found a good dimension that is clearly based on Hartman's by Mario Lanzas.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's good.
Oh, very nice. Oh look,
It's
a
Edaphosaurus.
genus in the top. Oh, if only we had the full version of this image.
Haha, I
Oh,
cropped
wow.
it out.
This is what the episode's about. Who cares about Edaphosaurus? Am I right?
I could post it technically, but I'm not going to.
Technically.
The Megalodon also has some weird feet for some reason.
I think that's an
Like, it
angle
looks
thing.
weird to me. I don't like how it looks.
That's an angle thing there, but it does have very five finger like
I don't.
feet.
Yeah, I suppose it's because it's running. The way that Scott Hartman's posed it is
Yeah.
that it's swinging its back legs to the side.
Yeah,
Which does
but it
kinda
can't
look
really
goofy.
show on the skeletal.
Yeah.
Which can create some misunderstandings when the skeletal is like only profile view and you're trying to reconstruct it like running tilting its legs sideways. You can't really show that.
Well, basically, we just need to replace skeletals with CGI models. It would make life a lot easier, but also a lot more
Yeah, but it
expensive.
would make life a lot harder to make them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
many feet.
Wait, I found
Don't-
the best picture of a foot yet.
I think those last two don't really add anything that hasn't been said already.
No, shush.
Yeah.
The more feet pics, the better. Just.
Anyways,
No, come on. Oh my god, guys, please.
You are the one that always makes statements like that. It's not that we have dirty minds, it's just that you have a dirty
Come
tongue.
on.
All right, that's enough.
Okay, come on.
Okay, yeah, that's... It's gonna
my
be the
weekend.
teaser image for this episode.
This is beautiful.
That's how I walk too.
Oh god.
Is this
Okay,
millennial
let's
memes?
Yes. Okay, continue.
yes.
Yeah.
Back to the mention. So that's basically it for its gate. We took a really big detour, but sadly nothing published yet. But it is pretty much unspoken consensus that it would have spoken like this, raising its body off the ground with unspoken.
No, is it
It's
would,
an
it would
unspoken
have spoken
consensus.
like this.
It would have stood like this or walked like
Yes,
this.
and walked like. Well, maybe not stood like this. We're not sure how it would have been in neutral pose, seeing how it may have just like
T-pose, I think, is the answer.
flopped like
Yes.
a crocodile.
Bipedal people.
Crocodile.
I said
Yeah.
they were black people.
But yeah, so that's it for the gate. Let's circle back to another unpublished part, and this one's a pretty big one. This is, what did Dimetrodon eat?
Everything.
So
Okay.
all of this argument stems from the Texas red beds, which are the best ones in terms of sort of environment preservation. And there is one bone bed there called the Craddock bone bed, which has a lot of scattered Diplocaulus heads. Diplocaulus
Okay.
being a largely aquatic amphibian with a very large, robust head. And the theory is...
boomerang head.
Yes, boomerang head. I'll be showing a picture later on.
Except that
And-
nowadays we think that the head was actually connected with skin, from what I know.
Ah, yes, possibly.
Ooh,
But what-
I'm not. I think there's a bit of a jury still out on that one. I think people
Yeah,
keep going
I
back
would
forwards
say-
with that.
I keep getting flashbacks to Parasaurolophus having a skin
Oh, yeah.
frill.
Oh,
And
God, no.
Amargasaurus
Okay, that's
having
bad.
a skin frill. Amargasaurus too, even worse.
Oh what?
my opinion.
No, that meme. Ugh.
Yes. We could just have an entire, skin frill meme episode.
Yeah.
Dilophosaurus comes back again.
Oh god.
Trodon comes
A
back.
lo-
except
oh,
it's
God,
the other way
yes.
around.
So a lot of scattered Diplocaulus heads with Dimetrodon tooth marks and also Dimetrodon teeth nearby. So what is suggested is that the Dimetrodon actually decapitated them.
Like a
Like,
T-Rex.
by trying to kill them, it just popped their heads off.
Nice.
And
Wow.
this suggests Dimetrodon may have preyed on Diplocaulus, but Diplocaulus is, of course, aquatic. The Texas red beds, as we'll discuss later in the environment talk, were swampy, very swampy. Floodplains and swamps and big rivers. So that's the theory. And also, I believe Backer is this one. Bob Backer claimed that Xenacanthus, a spiky shark, a long shark with like a spike in its back, that these Xenacanthus bones were found mingled with, again, Dimetrodon teeth.
Whoa.
There's also alleged Dimetrodon remains in Xenacanthus coprolites.
Huh.
So,
Wait.
yes.
Do you
so
want?
this but reversed.
Yeah, basically, it's what it's based
Yes.
on.
Well, not reversed, back and forth, with one killing the other and vice versa.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. So
We also see a nice
combine of
version of
one
the
biting
Hybok
on the
again
other.
with this one.
Yes. I have another picture as well, which showcases both Diplocaulus and Xenacanthus and Dimetrodon, which is by the ever epic Julius Chotoni.
Please don't tell me it's like a three-way standoff between them, like in.
No, it's not. But
It's Dimetrodon going for Diplocaulus and missing and hitting a Xenacanthus
Oh,
instead.
that's Dimetrodon has a really whipped sail.
Yeah. That's a nice.
Oh,
As you can
Wait.
see, also there's
No, it's
burrowing.
there's something in the background that shouldn't be seen.
And do you want the Robert Backer? Ooh, hang on. Robert Backer reconstruction of the same thing? Because here it is.
Ooh.
This is
Yes.
this is
Oh.
so this is now quite a common sort of depiction of Dimetrodon and
Because they've had Backer and other sources claiming that Dimetrodon fought Xenacanthus.
Actually, I just noticing there's because I think the Backer one came first, and then Custoni has been advised by Robert Backer, and it does kind of look like there's a bit of an overlap with the fact that Dimetrodon's going for the back, and the Xenacanthus is going for Dimetrodon's left arm.
Yeah.
It's basically like half a second later.
Yeah. Yeah. Just one color change later. Dimetrodon flexed so much he ripped his sail open.
But what does this mean? Is this valid? Sadly, it's unpublished.
Yay!
We'll never know.
What did you?
Our
Oh
favorite.
man, this means we can't search on Wikipedia.
Oh yeah.
Well, so this is the honestly, Robert Backer's hypotheses about Dimetrodon diet have a history of being unpublished, because
he also has unpublished ones about Ceratosaurus eating fish, I believe. All of them might also have been published.
Yeah.
He has a thing for animals like
Ceratosaurus meme. I've seen.
Yeah, it's from him. It's from him.
We all eat fish. That's it now. Dimetrodon, Dilophosaurus, every Spinosaur, Ceratosaurus, Majungasaurus.
Yes.
T-Rex, even every cousin of T-Rex.
I had a university lecturer who thought T-Rex swam.
Signosaurus.
Technosaurus, yep.
This one is classic.
I think I've seen Avimimus before going after a fish.
Oh my god.
Now, sadly, this is uncontested, but also kind of unpublished, so there's not much to contest. There is,
At the same time, they are fossils. They are fossils, you know.
We do have teeth. Yeah. And we do have a 2008 microanalysis of Dimetrodon bone, which shows that it was well adapted for being terrestrial, but it could also venture into the water. Yeah. So what I would advise to take away from this is opportunist. I mean, it had two types of dentition. If that doesn't scream opportunist, what does?
Yeah,
there's also 13 species, and you know,
yeah,
there's going to be some variation between them. Because you've got Secodontosaurus, which I mentioned earlier, has a really narrow snout. I don't know if you guys want a picture of that one.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, do it.
I've got. So unfortunately, this one has a half sail. But yeah, I'm gonna.
We're gonna just ignore it.
So there we go.
We can just get the Mario Lances version.
It's got quite a long,
like a whale,
almost like a duck. So
that
one
looks
like it would watch me when I sleep.
So
it looks like it has like those kinds of popsicle ice creams sticking out of its back.
Oh come on!
Yeah, kind of.
It's just good art. It's good artwork.
So, this is like the Mario Lances version, the same The same guy who did the Dimetrodon I showed earlier.
Yeah.
Okay, that's better.
So as you see, it's so that one's seen as maybe a bit more fishy because it's got quite a long snout, like a bit of a gharial.
Here's a skull.
So
if you compare the two skulls together, it's definitely a bit different.
So it could be, Edaphosaurus is the gharial, Dimetrodon is the mugger crocodile, that sort of play off with each other, that they both eat fish, but one goes after bigger, stronger fish and also amphibians and reptiles and all sorts. Well, so also there's another whole side of Dimetrodon's diet that was a series of discussions in the 70s and 80s, also by Robert Bakker. And here's the funny part, is that in the 1980s, Robert Bakker argued against Dimetrodon hunting Diplocaulus.
Well, isn't that ironic?
Yes. So at the time, he was saying, "Oh no, there's no way that Dimetrodon could sustain itself on Diplocaulus alone. Man cannot live on Diplocaulus alone." So he then brings up this idea that Dimetrodon is a big game hunter, like really big, hunting animals that are actually physically larger than itself. So I'll just post the picture that he included in the Dinosaur Heresies.
Are there any animals larger than itself in the same formation?
Yes. So the biggest of boys in the Dimetrodon formation, although we'll go into this a bit later, is the Cotylorinchus. But I think Diadectes is generally, because it's a plant eater, is generally seen to be a bit heavier, a bit more thick set, and even Eriops, which is quite a chunky boy, is probably a bit bigger. But the point is that a Diplocaulus is probably about 15 kilograms, 20 kilograms, I don't know, something like that. Whereas these guys are sort of in their 100, 200 kilogram sort of size range, as same-ish sort of size range as Dimetrodon. At least that was the thought in the 80s. I mean, they might have sized up. Robert Bakker was actually using plasticine models at the time. He was working out the sort of estimating the masses of these animals by making plasticine models and then looking at water displacement. Because he's a really good artist, he could actually make quite accurate representations of them. So then he suggests.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
All I see when I'm looking at this is the Benny Hill theme just playing on a loop.
Oh dear! If only one of us was a talented animator, and then they could go through and.
Well, we have 2 weeks, guys. Come on.
Yeah, find someone who does pivot videos or something. Yeah.
I do actually have someone, but yeah. Anyways.
Okay.
Maybe not.
We'll see. So with the so you see at the sides of each of the images, there's this black bar and some numbers. So that's actually representing the percentage of biomass that is Dimetrodon's. So Robert Bakker's point was that Dimetrodon, in most cases, was about 25% of the large animals, and so therefore Dimetrodon must be like this super predator of the tier of a. So if you look at predator-prey ratios, predators are generally about between 2 and 5% of the biomass in most modern ecosystems. But what he was saying was that was for warm-blooded animals. For a cold-blooded animal like a Dimetrodon, it would have actually been 25%, which is akin to a spider. But as it turns out, Dimetrodon was probably going after things like Diplocauluses and Xenacanthuses, which are much smaller and less likely to be preserved in the fossil record in an accurate biomass approach. So this is, I mean, it's an interesting thought, and it's quite likely that Dimetrodon could have taken these guys, but not necessarily as as much as it was proposed in the 80s. And I do find it very interesting that sort of, because I guess Robert Bakker is one of the few big paleontologists who sort of has focused on these guys so much. It is kind of funny that he's sort of gone in one direction and then gone in another direction, because at the time the orthodoxy was they go after Diplocauluses. Then he was like, no, and then he probably found some Diplocauluses which had their heads ripped off by Dimetrodons and was just like, oh, actually, you know what? There we go. I stand corrected. But yeah, it's funny. The other interesting bit is that you notice those three big guys. Okay, which large Permian animal isn't in that picture?
Cotyloranchus?
Well, yes, so that's one, although Cotyloranchus was generally a bit later. So this is sort of 280.
That's the one. There's no other Permian animal I can think of that would fit.
Yeah, there's no large-bodied Permian plant
Tyrannosaurus.
eater.
Okay, so yeah,
I'm sorry, Adaph, but I really can't think of any other Permian large herbivore.
How about
yeah, definitely Didectis was that was it. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, jokes aside.
animal?
So, I mean, this might be getting into the environment side of things, but there's an interesting bit where he says, this is read verbatim from the Dinosaur Heresies. So, the Geraldine was the strangest of all of Dimetrodon's habitats. Animals, usually common elsewhere, were rare or absent entirely. Eriops, for example, and animals usually very rare in the rest of the early Permian beds were super abundant in the Geraldine, including the eel-like amphibian Acheria and the big finback herbivore Edaphosaurus. Roma concluded that the Geraldine bone bed was the remains of a stagnant backwater, a fetid swamp where rotting vegetation had choked the river channel. These conditions kept Dimetrodon out. Only a few juvenile specimens were found. So, the interesting thing here is that Edaphosaurus, as it turns out, wasn't all that heavily contemporary with a Dimetrodon. So it's almost like I suppose I guess like a hippopotamus to a African hunting dog or something, or a lion or something, where they're not they cross over, they pass through each other's territories, but one basically sticks to the stagnant backwaters and one sticks to slightly different habitats. So it's just quite interesting, considering almost all depictions of Dimetrodon going after things is Edaphosaurus, because, it's the other slightly famous one from the Permian. I suppose
we can thank Walking with Monsters for that. We can thank Walking with Monsters for that, I believe.
Walking with Monsters,
they really popularized it.
Yeah, they did, certainly. I think that's the thing with the Walking With series in general, is that almost anything that isn't dinosaurs, if Walking With depicted it, then everyone's just like, that's it, But
you get that with Anomalocaris, you get that with...
It works.
This is it. Diplodon, and anything from the Cenozoic, it's just like...
Gorgonopsid. Just generic Gorgonopsid.
Entelodonts.
Entelodon, yes.
Yeah, all of that stuff, and everyone just basically follows what Walking With did because they're the best.
Yeah, Basilosaurus as well. You could consider that. But yeah, so now that we've started talking about the environment, just a closing note about the diet. I personally, I'm still a bit reticent to jump on board with the fish-eating hypothesis. It is unpublished, and it's only really teeth being associated.
Fish.
Yeah, it's not so much as a fish eater, like a second
a predator of aquatic life. I'm still hesitant to jump on board, largely because it's of course unpublished. That does affect it for me. That we're only taking a bunch of newspapers reporting claims, honestly, on what Bakker said. But yeah, I would still exercise caution. Obviously, so for me, I'm leaning more towards opportunist. Especially given the bone microanalysis showing it was well adapted for being terrestrial as well. It does not seem to have shown any particular adaptations for being aquatic. But that's just my 2 cents, really. Now, let's move on to the environment. We mentioned that the Texas redbeds and Oklahoma redbeds as well were swampy. There were floodplains. You have, as you can see in Bakker's drawing as well, lots of influence of the marine, of seaway, of rivers, sort of aquatic life. So very, very swampy floodplains. But then there's not much said about Baphygnathuses in Canada, sadly. Not that there's really much we could really discuss there. It's also just one maxilla, so it's not really that important as Dimetrodon species go. Sorry, D. borealis. But we now have let's discuss the one non-American Dimetrodon, which is the German one. So, Armin, being a German, would you like to continue this?
Yeah, hilarious.
Deutschland! He is from Austria,
yeah, of
not
course.
Germany.
We had to get our daily doses of sassy ear rape. Thank you, that was necessary.
He is from Austria, not Germany.
Yes,
Kinda missed that.
got that point.
Austria!
Yes. Thank you.
All right,
They're
go
all
ahead,
saying-
Arvin.
Where was I?
Germany. D2 Teutonis.
Deutschland.
Yeah. So basically, compared to, from what I could find, the locality at which the Dimetrodon was found in Germany would be a little more like what we see in Walking with Monsters. So less swampland and more something like higher up.
And terrestrial, not
Yes.
coastal or anything.
And of course, there would obviously be rivers and stuff. Just not as swampy as in the US.
Yeah.
And one hypothesis as well is that the fact that they did not live that close to water is the reason why D2 Teutonis is so diminutive. Because it did not explore this niche that other Dimetrodons may have capitalized upon. So that's just one hypothesis being put out there as well. Interesting to note that the Walking with Monsters Dimetrodon, which is the sequence is set in Germany, is just not representative at all of D2 Teutonis.
It's Dimetrodon grandis. It's like
Yes, it's definitely one of the large species.
no, it is definitely Dimetrodon grandis because that is the one that everyone talks about. You know, it's the one that has the reconstructions, so it's probably the one that they sort of would have taken as like, we'll study that skeleton and we'll implement it. I mean, so much as any Walking with Dinosaurs animal is based on one individual species, I suppose.
Yeah, but it's odd that they chose to set it in Germany when, as you mentioned, Daph, they're all of these taxa are found in America.
It does seem a lot like it tried to go with, this is new, let's do something about that, but didn't really consider how the animal itself actually would have looked like.
And also, I mean, to the average viewer as well, they did not convey at all that this is like a new discovery.
Oh, not at all.
So it was an odd choice, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to work out. Do you know how big the Edaphosauruses in Europe were?
I'm not sure there even is one. I mean, I checked up on paleobiology database to see the generic distribution. It's just Edaphosaurus SP, like referred.
It's fragments, apparently.
It's Nowsaurus, I believe. It was one originally classified as Nowsaurus. Possibly.
Nowsaurus grenadini or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, I've just read it out, but yeah.
Anyways,
I just would find it hilarious if it did turn out that the Edaphosauruses that lived in Germany were like still about 2 meters long, and so
normal size Edaphosaurus.
Normal size Edaphosauruses, and then just like iguana-sized
tiny Dimetrodons.
Yeah, it's just
little ankle
towards it,
biters.
just smacks straight into the side.
Yeah. Anyways, I believe that wraps up really the science of Dimetrodon. It's actually suffered quite a lot for such a popular quote-unquote
it's always
dinosaur.
the popular animals that suffer a lot.
No, but I mean also in terms of like T-Rex has not suffered in terms of publications at all.
Oh, you mean
that
okay.
I mean, from a scientific point of view, it's really suffered. I mean, it's got no publication about its gait. Of all of the theories about its diet, very few, if any of them, are published.
Yeah.
And then you have that one paper about D. giganhomogenes' sale, which was completely, woefully misinterpreted. So it's done poorly in terms of science and also conveying the science to the people. On that note, shall we jump right
Completely
into...
forgot. There's another paper published about Dimetrodon that suggested it was nocturnal.
What?
Okay, that's...
Oh, is that the one that also suggested Velociraptor was nocturnal, that big one?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's the same one or maybe the same scientist or something.
We'll link it in the description below.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I did not prepare for this.
I'm suspecting it's the...
I have a feeling that maybe it was different scientists, but the paper was nocturnally in synapsids predates the origin of mammals 100 million years ago. So this doesn't have any dinosaurs in it. It is just
there was
synapsids.
there was a big paper about identifying the nature of like what times of day a dinosaur would be active based on its eyes and possibly other prehistoric animals. That's why I was curious. But no, this was entirely about synapsids. Interesting.
Yeah.
If it was nocturnal, having a flashy sail would be a bit weird, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would really good.
Yeah, well, I suppose you do your sort of your flashy sail bit in the day, and yeah.
Okay, here's a fringe theory: bioluminescent Dimetrodon.
You mean
sail
like,
was just
it just has wave colors on it?
I'm talking like
neon green glowing in the dark.
Yeah, but yes. But like, I don't know if any of you have seen Watchmen, like the mask that just changes and moves. It had like
you mean Rorschach?
Yes, Rorschach's mask, but on its back and bioluminescent. Exactly that. Someone go do that now, right now. We're gonna extend the art submission challenge just for that.
Shiny. Oh yeah, shiny Dimetrodon. Yeah.
Yes. If we ever hold the next art submission, we'll be disappointed if that's not it.
Have you guys seen the film Moana? Right.
Yes.
Yeah. The crab.
Oh, you mean like Teletoa?
Yes. But then like it goes dark and then it just lights up. That's how I want the Dimetrodon to look.
Please, I need this. Shiny.
Oh no, I can't write the lyrics that quickly. That's next year's mixtape. I'll rewrite the lyrics to Shiny, but for a Dimetrodon.
I'm so shiny. Yeah, I don't remember the lyrics. God damn it!
We are getting a swag now because of you.
Dang it, Armin.
It's okay as long as
close to the real song.
As long as it's not Discovery International, we're safe. We'll explain about the legal battle later, Edaph.
Boy, a legal battle.
There was, so to speak.
Yeah, we had to sell.
Do you mean you had a copyright strike and you had to say no to it?
But then they said no again, and
one of those
really finicky.
Oh, you had to say no twice. Oh.
Yeah. And then we spent like a week trying to re-upload it with all of the offensive bits cut out. But no, they kept bringing out more and more. No, you can't show this, you can't show that, and then we just that's why we settled for the review.
The fact that a couple of people sung the lines of Shiny might mean that Disney tracks us down and is just like, oof.
No, Discovery International is going to track us down out of a vendetta. It's always going to be Discovery International.
Discovery International buys out Disney.
With all the money they've made from lawsuits against YouTubers making paleontology podcasts. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
We are the...
Right.
Do you want another? Wait, before you go back into before we lose the science, I just remembered there was another science paper which was about.
Oh my god!
I'm just while we're on the subject of weird things that synapsids did. Ophiachodon, which was the close cousin.
Is it the parental behavior?
Actually, I was talking warm-bloodedness, but parental behavior is yet another thing. So these are just other. See, most of the published papers about synapsids aren't about Dimetrodon; they're about relatives of Dimetrodon, which sort of imply stuff about Dimetrodon. So a lot of what we know about its behavior and all of that stuff is like, oh yeah, we found a group of what was it? Wow, was it? One of the very small sphenacodontids, I can't remember what it was, but it was one of them that had been found in a group, and then the other.
Armin mentioned it earlier as well. I'll try and find it.
And then the Ophiachodon one is the cousin of Dimetrodon, another Pelycosaur, Ophiachodon, who was possibly warm-blooded, or
Heliosaurus
or something.
Yeah, Heliosaurus was
Heliosaurus, right.
The one that was in a group, yeah.
It was one we considered bringing up, but we decided not to include it after all.
Sorry. Sorry, didn't realize that was on the not list, and I'm just like, hey guys.
No. It's fine.
It's okay.
We're saying that. Anyways, we're showing that at the end of the retro art. But yeah, speaking of retro art, we weren't, but I brought it up. Armin, retro art, commence.
Okay,
go.
First of all, we have...
Retro art is evil!
Shut up, Sassy. So basically, we have decided to not include Charles and Knight and Burian because everybody knows them already. There's no point in showing those.
We're just going on, and really, there's just such a big rabbit hole we could explore if we tried to do all the retro paleo art. So we're mainly looking at Armin's private collection of terrible art.
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna start out with a pretty standard one by Steve Kirk, which isn't that bad. It's pretty good.
Oh, okay.
Kind of standard. It's like
That's all right.
Not bad.
It's all right. It's
all right.
it's retro. It's
It's
a bit
retro.
more.
It's the lizard one. It's basically a lizard.
It kind of has buck teeth, I guess.
I mean, it isn't that bad. It's not.
No.
It's a product of its time.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's true. Yeah.
This is the same book that brought us giant Tarbosaurus, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, I remember.
Yes, it's the same book. It's the same artist.
Okay.
Not giant, enormous, gigantic, massive.
Now it looks like a mammal and not a lizard.
Okay, this one is a 3D model by Decay, which I'm gonna post.
Yeah. Okay.
Sam,
How the
It's a
right
head.
fallen.
Wait, that ear is on the shoulder.
Oh, it.
Oh,
Oh, it.
whoa.
Whoa, that's here. Oh God.
That
Why?
little hole, it's at the
Yeah.
base of the neck. Okay. that's-
this one definitely skipped leg day. Like it's the tiniest.
That being said, it is lifting itself off the ground, so that is pros to them.
That's a plus. That's a
True.
plus. Yes.
It's actually falling. As you can see, the hands are not directly on the floor. It's still shortly in the air, but this is the exact second it will hit the floor. That's
I
also
know.
why the tail does the moves up, obviously, because it's falling.
Armin, do you want to continue?
Yes, I'm gonna continue straight away with the Dinosaurs exclamation mark magazine from the 90s, which had this guy.
Nice.
Better legs, I'll give them
Oh.
that.
Oh God. It looks a bit too slim. It looks a bit like a cat, like a
He's
build
staring
of
at me
a cat.
scarily.
But
I mean, again, I gotta give him credit. It's a high walking one.
yeah, it is high walking. So
High walking but tail dragging.
It's falling too.
Yeah.
Yeah, can't be perfect. Speaking of high walking but tail dragging, we have these couple of next ones are by Chris Turnbell.
oh
Ooh.
oh.
That's just a crocodile. Like, with a...
Or if
I
it's
mean,
Yes,
it is
maybe.
retro. Give him that. At least the ear isn't on the neck. Let's give him that.
True.
It's a pretty low bar to set, but okay.
Shush.
I hate
fairly
his
far back.
face.
Why,
Same
wait,
artist also did.
Dimetrodons
these
didn't
ones.
even have ears, did they? Though that's the whole point.
Oh, now
Ah.
that looks like a retro, like the really retro lizards, dinosaurs and stuff.
I
Like
like
the-
how one of
the
them is
dragon.
just I like how one of them is stepping on the other one. Just doesn't care.
They're just crawling over each other to get.
I mean, there is sexual dimorphism.
True.
I mean, I'm not sure if it's supposed to be
True.
sexual dimorphism or just the angle at which the light hits the sail.
Ooh.
Iridescent sails. Okay, next one.
Okay.
Glowing in the dark. Yay.
This one was definitely done in the same style on purpose, obviously.
Oh yeah, they're very similar. They're basically the same thing, actually.
Yeah, I mean, those last two, or three, I suppose, the three last animals were all by the same artist from the same
Oh,
issue
okay.
as well.
Mhm.
The last two pictures.
Yes. And there's a third one by John Morris, which basically imitates the pictures in terms of appearance.
No. I mean, that looks a bit more natural.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
also more lizard-like.
Yeah, it
I
is
mean,
more
I suppose
lizard.
the
It looks
resting
like an
position
iguana.
as well, so can't say too much.
No,
How
that's
is
very lizard-like because of the way they're grabbing on. It's like a tiny lizard.
Yeah.
I'm currently looking at the how
like
the-
off screen, someone's just pulling on its tail and it's just trying to like. No.
It also seems to be this like, oh, how do we make this animal look like a lizard? Oh, we'll just throw one on top of the other. Really, it just because that's what lizards
Yeah.
and crocodiles do, isn't it? They just pile on
Yes.
top of each other. That's what we do with the Dimetrodon. Even though it's got a really great sail on its back and makes that really inconvenient and practically impossible. That's
Let's do it. Don't worry about it.
I'm kind of looking at the one. more towards the middle, but on the right side, how the sail bends.
Yeah.
That is a very bendy sail. I don't.
That's the purpose of the sail anyway, to know the bend.
No, it's not bend vertically.
If it was using that sail for muscle structure, then it definitely would have been very bendy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also, the one in the back one is really thick.
Yeah, damn thick. Look at that dummy thick boy.
It's Daimoto.
Okay.
Likes you.
Okay.
Daimotrodon. I don't know.
Daimoto.
I need that. We need merch. I would buy a shirt like that. I would.
Of course you would.
Watch out! I think
So nice you say it twice
likes
with my
you.
2 types of teeth.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Where is it an Alami stock photo?
Because it's there, Agostini. The one is better in quality, but the color is a bit different, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
take
but where's
whichever
the
you
stock
want.
photo?
The
Who stole it?
Diagonostini. Okay, I'm not very good at that. The people who made these, who commissioned all these pictures, then basically after they'd made the magazines, were just like, what do we do with all these images that we have no purpose for? Oh, we'll just put them on the stock photo websites, so you can find almost
Yes, we
all
can
of the
sell
pictures.
them. Make
Yeah.
money with stock photos.
Yes, and Assassi, that is called capitalism. And if you want to know about what capitalism is evil.
That the capitalist speaks.
Okay, continuing on with the
You've got
retro face
shame
mark.
upon your nation.
Are there any more, Armin?
I know those are the last ones I think we agreed upon.
Not that painful, honestly.
I mean, we've had worse, definitely.
Have worse.
Yeah.
But that's why we have
Yeah.
definitely.
We have the structure of just including ones that Armin actually owns. So that's
For the most part.
Yeah. So
I mean,
that's
if
how
it
we've
gets
come up with
really, if I really don't have anything, we might go and look for them
this.
specifically.
Yeah. Shall we move on to documentaries then? And then we've got a special segment at the end as well after documentaries.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go.
Documentaries.
Surprisingly enough, not that
How many?
Documentaries.
One, I think, yes.
Okay, I'm just gonna pick the good old stock image of Walking with Monsters, shall I? The one.
I mean, actually, I
owns.
guess technically, surely the first documentary was that one episode of Paleo World, Tale of a Sail, where the Metrodon was the main focus of that, and it's another backer-led episode of Paleo World where he just
Okay, this isn't that weird, I suppose.
Honestly, it's got pretty good paleo
It's not bad.
representation.
It's not bad. Yeah, I mean it runs like a lizard. It runs like a lizard. When you see it running, it does sort of like wobble a lot.
It's a monitor
from side to side. Yeah.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's not a bad Dimensionon.
Yeah.
It's honestly pretty good. It's a pretty good, probably Dimetrodon Gigas. Is that the one you said?
Yeah. Hang on. Why? No. Is it even
Grandis?
Grandis. I was thinking, what you just completely threw me when you said that. Yeah, Dimetrodon Grandis. Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think the problem with any of these sorts of things is if you look at a Walking with reconstruction, you're just like, hey, that's not bad. That hasn't aged very, very badly. Part of the reason for that is because people haven't researched them since then. And it's just like, yes. The reason that the T-Rex is really dated in Walking with Dinosaurs, well, it was kind of bad at the time, but no, it's because we've done so much more research in T-Rex or Utahraptor or any of those. Yeah. But Dimetrodon, reconstruction-wise, other than that one paper on the sail, there hasn't been much.
And that's just for the one species. We can't.
And that's for the one species. Yes.
Elaborate necessarily for all of them. Yeah. It's not automatically applicable to all species. So yeah. We do have a second one though, which is lovely.
Oh no!
Surprisingly enough, the Metrodon hasn't appeared all that often.
We only have two.
But I suppose it's because paleomedia are kind of biased against the Paleozoic.
Definitely,
Yeah.
and actually, the Carboniferous has gotten much more representation. I feel.
Yeah, I mean, giant insects.
It's bugs. Everyone loves bugs. Also, bugs are easy as heck to animate by the standards of other animals. You can basically make a fairly realistic-looking bug with not so many polygons or whatever. So
true. That is actually a good point. Anyways, now moving on to Leaps in Evolution.
Okay.
By NHK.
That's
Japanese.
Very good.
Actually good.
It's very good. Now, if I remember correctly, I don't think it actually does the lizard run to the same extent. It doesn't do like the overly excited monitor lizard run that Walking Monster does. It has a sort of more contained run. The only sequence featuring it is a group of them, actually 4 adult Dimetrodon, working together to hunt some other sail-backed animal. Guess which one?
Anthosaurus, Secodontosaurus.
Probably Platyhystrix.
Platyhystrix, yes.
Spinosaurus!
Oh yeah. Spinosaurus.
Totally Spinosaurus.
Spinosaurus, please.
Tupodactylus.
Anyways, I will give them this. The main difference, I mean, the skull is a bit more sloping downwards. It's not as high arched as the Dimetrodon in Walking with Monsters. The pose is a little bit better, I believe.
I like it. I actually like it.
Looks pretty good.
It's got slightly exposed tips, which again might actually be a bit of research.
Yeah.
Like we said, it's not necessarily accurate to have exposed lips in a species, but just pointing that out. And it does have lips, more or less. I'm not sure if they're mobile, but it does have a proper seal, which I'm not sure. The Walking Monsters one had a seal too, right? It wasn't like fleshy lips.
So
but
yeah.
There is like that one bit where it's like bumping into the camera, I believe, where it hits the camera or something.
Mhm.
So yeah, both are honestly pretty good depictions. They're honestly, I just realized, extremely similar. Look at how the underside is on both.
Oh yeah, that's what they do with everything, don't they? They just do.
I mean, I always felt like
the NHK. They almost always.
No, yeah. Well, NHK. I mean almost everyone though.
But I feel like
true.
I feel like the sail on the coloration on the NHK is kind of like the Edaphosaurus in Walking with Monsters, in a way.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and even the way the sort of lines on the sails sort of.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. It doesn't have the eye spot.
So
it
what does
it has a circle.
What does the NHK Edaphosaurus look like though? Does it look like the Dimetrodon from?
The NHK Edaphosaurus. I didn't look that one up. It's not as detailed. I could find it, and I will be inserting it in post here.
Wait, I'm looking at it, but okay, no, I can't find pictures of it.
I will, because you have to actually find a way to watch the documentary to screenshot it from there.
Yeah.
So yes.
There's another documentary that almost had Dimetrodon.
Oh, go ahead.
So let's see if I can find it first. There we go. So this was going to be the design in Animal Armageddon, until they remembered that the Permian extinction was not in the early Permian, but the late Permian, and so Dimetrodon was not an appropriate animal to have at the end Permian extinction.
Oh, thank God!
You mean the big die?
The big die, yes.
The Siberian trap saying it. Nope.
The big do.
Now record it.
Trying to be paleo, please. The big die is a specific reference. So
Colossal.
don't try to chime in on this.
I will give them this. It is lifting its tail off the ground quite a bit, actually, but especially in neutral pose.
They're saying that it looks kind of awkward the way it is lifted.
It looks a bit awkward. It looks like a video game, to be honest. Like I thought you were gonna say, that's like Turok or something. Just
yeah, it does look like Turok or carnivores.
The color scheme, it is very pew pew pew.
Video games.
It is very pew. Not gonna lie.
Guys, I found yet another Dimetrodon. Oh God, I found the very worst Dimetrodon in any documentary. Give me a moment.
Oh really?
Oh boy.
Okay, here we go. It is from everyone's favorite documentary. Everyone's favorite documentary for the last 3 years or something.
Oh! I see this one. I see it coming.
Here it is.
Do you mean the NHK?
No,
No.
it's the Ancient Earth one. Ancient
Ancient
Earth by
Earth.
Curiosity Stream. The worst documentary of the decade. Get out of here.
Ancient Earth is
Actually,
it literally
it's
gives.
one of the better ones. The worst documentary of the decade is a random bootleg from China.
Oh no, this is the
No,
worst.
this one
terrible.
is. It is the
Ancient
worst.
Earth
It has
is a
Quetzalcoatl.
Random bootleg from
it's a
China as well, you idiot.
No, it's a documentary
I'm
that came out
correct
in
and you are
current
wrong, so
year. It
shut
came-
up.
Okay, Sassy. Wait.
came out-
Can we have a moment of silence as I convince Sassy that this is the worst documentary ever? It has Quetzalcoatl in the Triassic.
Okay, it's good. It's
Well,
worst.
It's good. Okay, it's good.
Impossible.
Just a couple 100 million years displacement. It's good.
Ancient Earth has a scaly velociraptor in current year. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
Ancient-
so didn't NHK do the same thing? Scaly,
NHK did Scaly Troodon.
Scaly Troodon and Feathered T-Rex.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Although they have redeemed themselves with the new Troodon in the new documentary, but that's just getting off topic.
Well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, no, and the other part about Ancient Earth is that this is literally a rip-off of Animal Armageddon, where they made mistakes that Animal Armageddon managed to not make by having a Dimetrodon in the Permian extinction.
It's always bad if a documentary that's generally considered to be awful manages to avoid the mistake and you just blatantly run into it. like the coyote in the Roadrunner cartoons in the wall.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's absolutely hideous.
Moving on.
Moving on to the special segment, I assume.
Wait. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to edit this part out if I don't find something, but I believe I have found something. Wibbly wobbly, we did a cut.
Yeah.
And voila, their Dimetrodon is just the Titanophanaeus model of the
What?
I'm just vomiting at this point. This is just disgusting.
This is absolutely disgusting.
How dare?
Oh god, I can't even look at this.
Gorgonopsid.
I'm so disappointed I didn't realize this and put this in my segment on Worst Dimetrodon, because this honestly beats almost all of them.
We should see those now.
This is pure nightmare fuel.
It is.
Yeah, okay, so we can move on and then we'll
Wait, since we're going to end this with the top 10 worst Dimetrodon, shall we just share this thing that Kalamakaw shared as well, which is one of the worst Dimetrodon. It doesn't exactly make the cut because the Dimetrodon model isn't that bad, but just a little bit of a funny shout out before we get into the Edaph segment, which is Dimetrodon. Classification.
Pterosaur.
Classification. Pterosaur. Time period. Early Jurassic.
Oh my god, I didn't look at
4
that.
feet wingspan. Fun fact, it was not a dinosaur, but a flying reptile. Its oversized head may have been for courtship rituals. Holy!
Excuse me.
I hate this.
Can somebody
How could you hate
explain?
this?
I think they mixed up Dimetrodon with Dimorphodon.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Quite
That's a
probably.
picture of a Dimetrodon, though.
Oh my
So
Yeah. But that's
It's
not the
so
first. That is
bad.
the thing. But yeah.
It's so bad.
Anyways.
I am in awe at this.
I am in awe at the stupidity of this lad.
Okay, now to the segment.
Yes. So,
Okay.
Now we've got Edaph's top 10 worst Dimetrodon depictions.
So, I mean, actually, it's sort of top 11, but then there's also some honorable mentions because
Okay.
I just want
Okay.
because we sort of done some pop culture. Now, I just want to throw in a couple more Dimetrodons just to remind us of sort of where we are with pop culture. So, first, I want to talk about how toys aren't actually bad. Toys are actually good most of the time. So, this is the collector Dimetrodon.
Oh,
okay.
Collector's pretty good.
Oh wait, it's not that bad.
Yeah,
it has the yeah.
It's got an opening jaw. It's got the nice sail, and the proper.
Yeah.
And it's walking
In
quite high.
my opinion, they shouldn't have included the hole. They should have
The hole
just
is a
sold
bit
the toy
Jurassic. It's a
and
bit
then
Jurassic
sold
World.
it together with scissors
Oh
to
my
make
God.
your own hole.
I'm
This is
not
the
sure about that.
stupidest thing I've ever heard.
So yeah, Dimetrodon toys are pretty good. Even Schleich has a good Dimetrodon toy, and that's saying a lot considering most of the Schleich animals are kind of
Well, that's
blobby.
not bad.
Schleich
Most
animals
dinosaurs.
is wrong.
But-
Most Schleich extinct animals. Have you ever
Yeah,
seen the modern
the-
animals? They are
oh,
amazing.
I've got the Akapi and the black rhinos and the hippopotamus. I've got all the bleeding Schleich real animals, and I've got all the Ice Age animals.
I
It's just the
guess
dinosaurs
extinct
that
animals aren't real.
Come on.
Yeah, the real animals, not the.
Don't
Oh, yeah, but-
expose us like that. We try to make a living with this.
So the Ice Age animals, those are real, but the ones before that, no, they don't exist.
Those are just made up by Satan to test Christianity.
So
this is not getting off topic at all.
It's the paleontologists. They're taking our tax money, guys. Come on, wake up.
So this is one from the 1980s, and it's still good. So
It's not
It looks
that
like a Cotyloranchus with a Dimetrodon head and sail.
No, that's I like that actually.
The head
Head's a
looks
bit small.
tiny.
also, the
It's
reason why
a
it's so
small
small
head.
and not scaled is because it was a scale with these really enormous dinosaur models, so it couldn't really be much bigger than a couple of centimeters long.
Right.
Anyway, so then of course there's everyone's favorite dinosaur video game, Ark.
Ark, survival evolve.
I hate that. Oh, I hate that.
So what they've decided to do was give it some sails on its side,
Very
which is
Ark.
a bit
Just
weird. It's very Ark.
Just why?
Yeah, straight up lies are just so arc. And yes,
It's-
I know technically they're not the. No, technically this is the undiscovered 15th species of Dimetrodon. But
Yes.
Oh my God.
Oh, Ark.
I think it walked with the sprawled gait, more or less, as well.
Yeah.
But why is someone pointing a gun at that poor animal?
Because he
out
wants
misery.
to put it out of
Ark.
its misery. Isn't it obvious?
Yeah, just
That's-
kill it.
The
Kill
entire
it.
Ark
Kill it.
game, the Ark, you can completely reframe Ark if your mission is to put all of these poor wounded animals out of their misery.
Basically, yeah.
You can see in the back corner an ichthyosaurus floating in the air.
Arc.
Ark.
Oh, classic Ark.
And then finally, everyone's this is
Oh, no.
this is the one that didn't make the cut, but it's still worthy of mention.
Ew.
This
This is like-
depiction of a Dimetrodon.
Is that
Ew.
Carnivore's mobile game?
Well, it's all the Carnivals games.
Ew.
Or it's Carnivals 2, Carnivals.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
Carnival's mobile.
I hate
Yeah,
it.
it's a funny looking Dimetrodon with a small herbivorous head, buck teeth, sort of a sail
Yo.
with things that go out. I don't know what that might happen to be. Just
Destroy it.
Destroy it. Explode it.
I think
Kill
that's- I think what's its name?
That honestly looks like a Platyhystrix to me.
The sail looks like a Platyhystrix.
the head looks like something else. So
It looks
I
the
got
head
it.
is a Scutosaur head.
It's obvious. It's obviously Arizonasaurus.
no one has made an Arizonasaurus joke yet today. I'm kind of surprised actually.
Yeah, because I'm
we
the only
mentioned
guy here who is really into pseudosuchians. So
Yeah, he's the croc guy.
It's your mistake.
Okay,
gone.
okay.
Right.
Get it off.
So yeah.
So anyway, I think that now means that I can actually start the list. So
Cue the music.
cue them. Oh, was I supposed to get
Okay.
music? Hold on, I'll find the.
No. Ba 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 ba.
It's got to be the top of the pop.
Okay. We've gone on for a long time with this in the past,
Okay.
so we're
You add
stopping
the
it now.
music in post. It's fine. Okay, let's go. So the first image. So this is actually top 11 goofiest Dimetrodons. So the first one is a drawing I did when I was a child.
Cute.
Oh, that's adorable.
Yeah, it is adorable.
Except the funny bit is that that's not a drawing I did as a child. The drawing that Edward Drinker Cope did when he first discovered Dimetrodon and Edaphosaurus.
Pretty accurate.
I'm sorry, that looks like something out of the cover of How to Train Your Dragon books.
It does.
Oh my god.
I can't. No.
I love how the one that's I suppose it's Edaphosaurus because it has the little strange horizontal bones in the sail, but it looks like it has a tail club.
Yeah,
Yeah, it does.
It does.
On the bottom. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's the pesky coffee stains. Anyways.
Number 10. Burger King. It's the Journey to the Central
Ew.
Year. So this was a film that came out in the 1950s or something, where they basically got a bunch of iguanas and glued sails to them, and then
This
they
is
used
Yeah,
Journey to the Center of the Earth, right?
Yeah. Yep. And then they used forced perspective to make them look enormous. So these are these sort of goofy-looking Dimetrodons who are the size of like a Spinosaurus, charging around on.
But what do you mean? Dimetrodon is Spinosaur.
Sometimes I miss the era of cinema where people were just taking reptiles and gluing horns on them.
And then you realize how cruel it was, and you miss the era where Ray Harryhausen was a thing.
Okay, yeah, it's obvious superior.
Yeah, Ray Harryhausen, Willis O'Brien. Anyways, so this is number 10, right?
That's number 10. Okay. Number 9. Oh, you have to do it so much better than me. It's because you're an American. I can't do this. So yeah, it's the very worst of the video game Dimetrodons is this one from Zoo Tycoon, which is
I forgot how terrible it is.
Oh my god!
So as an experiment, I went in Zoo Tycoon. I plopped down a Dimetrodon, and then next to it, I plopped down a Nile monitor. And then when I pressed play, they both moved at exactly the same rate, in exactly the same direction. And then you look through all their things; they have almost exactly the same habitat requirements. So basically, they didn't. Considering the Nile monitor was just the Komodo dragon, but in the wetlands, the Dimetrodon was just the Nile monitor, but a bit bigger with a sail, because that's most of the Zoo Tycoon animals is just readaptations of previous things. And here's some concept art. It's actually a bit nicer. If you see it, you can actually see the.
That's really nice.
It's actually got the fangs on it. You know, they're sort of coming from the wrong direction because they're coming from up rather than down. But you know,
they're still fangs.
Hold on, that's concept art. You sure?
Yeah.
It looks an awful lot like fan art.
There you go. Image the copyright of Blue Fang Games. That's concept art. If not, it's go on the Zoo Tycoon wiki and you go. You know they've got the whole page of concept art.
The most reliable.
Yes, the most reliable. Okay. So now we are on number 8. If someone wants to.
Number 8.
Number 8.
Not you. Thank you.
Oh, God damn it.
The Land Before Time. You can kind of see it's a bit Edaffy on the sail. But the real reason
it cuts off after 2/3 of it.
Yes, but the real reason I wanted to highlight this one is because in the very next frame he goes a blep.
Also, he has a beak, apparently.
He has a beak and a forked tongue. So
I am disgusted. I am now. Man, I'm gonna have nightmares. Thanks, guys.
Only at number 8.
Wait, I thought we had number 7 now.
Yeah, now we've done. This is number 7 we're going on to.
We're going on to number 7.
Number 7.
So you see that? That doesn't look bad, does it?
No, not really.
Okay, it's not the best Dimetrodon, but you know we've seen much worse.
It's kind of old school.
Okay.
It's not the worst.
Yeah.
How about now?
Oh god. Okay, buddy.
So,
okay. Okay, why?
There was
10 times better.
In the 1970s, there was a TV show called Land of the Lost, and they have all sorts of goofy-looking stop-motion dinosaurs.
Yeah, I was gonna say it almost looks like something from Robot Chicken. In the first shot.
Yeah, but this was their Dimetrodon called Torchy.
Wondering why.
This is also a TV show where it had like 3 dinosauroids as like the main antagonists. So it was the 1970s. It was a weird time.
Okay.
So now we're on number 6.
Number 6.
Okay, so here's a very fetching looking bench.
Ooh, I'd sit on that. Wait, what's with the tail?
Because Stagomizers.
And yes, this is the twist of this bench, is the fact that this is a Dimetrodon with phagomizers.
Don't sit there.
Apparently,
it kind of looks like a lindworm.
What? How? Why?
Like,
when? Where?
So this was on the Love in the Time of Chasmosaur's website. Bloomington, Indiana, they were building this sculpture. Originally, they wanted a Stegosaurus, and then realized that a Stegosaurus was both too big and inconvenient to build a bench out of. So they instead decided to go for a Dimetrodon, so people could lean their backs against its sail. But
why the spikes on the tail, though?
Because they still wanted it to be a Stegosaurus.
I mean, I'm making Ludia hybrids before Ludia became a thing.
Yes, honestly, this is better than anything in the Jurassic World series. To be honest, this is
original Indominus Rex.
Yeah.
So now here's the interesting thing. So we've been talking about Dimetrodons and their sails, and how in the 2012 to 2014 it was a popular trend to depict them without sails. Well, actually, that's just a reinvigoration of a popular thing.
Dimetrodon incisivus. Is that an actual species of Dimetrodon?
No, it's not a valid species anymore. But
thank God.
Yeah, so
interesting head shape. A little bulbous.
Why?
Well, so that is actually based on because Charles Knight did a picture that sort of looked a bit like that, and then different people adapted it, and they just bastardized it into this sort of weird thing.
Like telephone game.
Yeah.
I like how the number 5 is number 5.
Oh well. Okay. Yes. Yeah. So interestingly, so we haven't touched on it much, but in the past, there was this idea of a Nowasaurus, which is basically a Edaphosaurus, but because of the way Charles R. Knight depicted it, it had the head of a Dimetrodon. So here is a picture from the same plate of a Nowasaurus.
Oh my God!
Oh, what the? Oh God! What? Why is that?
Like, so that's how to train your dragon stuff.
So it's the EDAF sails.
It's basically a kebab.
EDAF spikes with no sails, so it goes off in random directions and with big fangs and.
It's beautiful.
It looks so bad. I can't. I just can't. Oh, it looks so angry as well.
Somebody's like Photoshop Dimetrodon heads just stuck on there, like on a pike.
And while we're on the theme of Dimetrodon, Edaphosaurus, Nowasaurus type things, we'll move on to number. What's this?
3, I believe.
No,
number
4.
3.
That's the
no, number 4.
Number
4.
Yeah, 4.
Number 4.
Nowasaurus is not.
No, we're number 3.
Are we?
Are we?
I'm just confused.
Okay, the last two were one number, aren't they?
1, 2, 3. This is number 4. This is
okay.
Okay. I'm about to submit number 4. Okay. There we go.
I'll
just do it. Whatever.
Ew.
Oh, but he's so happy.
But he is happy. Give him that. Look at him.
He may look like a dick, quite literally so, but he's happy.
It's a naked mole rat crossed with an Edaphosaurus crossed with a Dimetrodon. Yeah.
Cross with literal forks on its. Why? But he looks happy.
If this video gets 10 likes, I will change my profile photo to that.
Of course it. Just watch.
Okay, all right, fine. If this video gets 100 likes,
okay,
I'll
okay.
No, don't.
Sassy. Time for me to bring out the "you jinxed it" meme. Biz, you jinxed it.
Sassy's
Right.
sitting here.
He's not even on this. Is he?
Sassy, I still blame you. Okay, I meant Yo-Yo, but yes.
Come on.
Wow.
You guys all sound the same. You're like younger.
Why don't you take a leaf out of mine and Raptor's book and just steal another realistic prehistoric animal's name and use that? You know, it's so much easier. Anyway, this is number 3.
Number 3.
This doesn't look too bad.
Yeah.
But
too much lipstick.
You need to see a close up of this guy in action.
Ew! It looks like a. Ew!
Is that like leaked footage from Godzilla vs King Kong? It's the new redesign of the skull crawlers.
Thank you, Armin. That was so good.
Hey, don't spoil it. I haven't seen that movie yet.
This is beautiful. This is just beautiful.
I can't tell if they're fighting or just really passionately hugging.
Yes, they're just look at it. So wholesome. Okay.
So we are now on the penultimate one.
Number 2.
This is one that I actually own.
Oh
boy.
And it's process. Oh, there we go.
It looks happy as well.
Oh, hey, it's a head from Dimetrodon Incisivus.
So this Lego dinosaur head was reused. Okay, on Iguanodon, Dimetrodon, Brachiosaurus.
I thought it would be
Ankylosaurus, Camarasaurus, Diplodocus, Plesiosaurus, Uranosaurus, Parasaurolophus, Velociraptor, and a Pteranodon once.
Oh, come on.
What?
What?
No, you just crossed the line on this one.
Also, I love how this one has was basically feathers. This is one of the few feathered dinosaurs in Lego's history, and
it's not it's Dimetrodon.
Not even a dinosaur. Oh no!
And if you think this boy's bad, wait until you see his dad.
Oh god! Ew! What the?
Please tell us there's somebody who was messing with body parts.
I'm tempting you're making this up.
Oh, this is real. You Google it. Google oh no. So basically, there was a box set. I'll find a picture of it. Of Lego Mosasaurus. Okay, so this is a popular thing in the early 2000s for the Lego. They made this set, which basically you had your classic Mosasaurus, but then you could readapt it into 3 other prehistoric animals.
You're not kidding.
I found it actually.
You're actually not kidding.
Better image, I think.
Oh, God.
You're not kidding.
So this is Dimetrodon, Postosuchus, and Mosasaurus all with the same head. And there's a whole series of these, and some of them were better. The sauropods worked better because they were all just long necks and long tails, and the Spinosaurus had a T-Rex head.
I actually thought you were kidding.
No, this is real life. This was when Lego was still creative with its dinosaurs, rather than just making them all be the one thing that you can't change around.
This is basically how Dr. Wu got his idea.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I'm just shocked. I'm just shocked at this point. Oh my god.
Actually, there's one more. I'll see if I can. Oh yeah. Hang on a minute. So this is the they then reused the same mold for a slightly different sort of thing. Let's see if we can actually upload the image. Here we go. This is the killer whale.
What? Okay. Come on.
It's a mutant killer whale. Yeah, I mean, it actually kind of looks a bit like a Basilosaurus, to be fair, but
it has hands. It's
literally...
a robot. No, those are robot arms, to be fair.
Oh, okay, they're robot arms. Oh, okay, I forgive it.
Okay, I forgive that.
Oh, okay. I was annoyed up until they brought out the robot arms. That's when they nailed it.
I also liked the skeleton riding it. Very neat. With its glowing spear.
This is very much the sort of things that Lego were producing in the early 2000s. This was also when Lego was going bankrupt, actually.
I wonder why.
Oh, God.
Well, it's because they weren't making really expensive sets based on popular movie franchises, I think. Now every dinosaur is Jurassic World, every spaceship is Star Wars, blah blah blah. But anyway, that's
I mean, Star Wars has been a thing ever since episode 9, episode 1.
But what?
Yeah. Sort of
I come from the future.
1999, sort of, yeah. But anyway, I'm getting distracted by Lego and Star Wars because we still have one more Dimetrodon to go.
Oh boy.
So if someone wants to if we want a drum roll for this or something.
Top 11 verse Dimetrodons. Number 1.
Come on.
That was epic. And keyboard smashing.
It's coming. It's coming. Okay. This one's taking a long. Did you see it loading or something? It's loading.
No.
Like 3 megabytes because it's a screenshot. Here we go. Come on, you'll be there.
Okay.
Here we go.
Waiting.
It's coming.
Oh, excuse me now. No.
What?
So as
no, what was that?
Have any of you seen Rick Raptor's most latest video?
I have not yet. No, I'm guilty. Oof.
Okay. Well,
I mean, obviously, I will have by the time the podcast comes out. I'm not that. Don't get.
Yeah. When we
yesterday.
recorded this, it only came out yesterday. But so there's this giant turtle who tells this story to these like a lion cub and a Bambi, a small deer about about. Okay, it's basically Simba and Bambi get told a story by a big
this
turtle
cinematic universe
about evolution and and so. And so there's this scene where she's just like, I'm an amphibian, and so are you, old man, turning to this crocodile. So this turtle and crocodile are apparently amphibians. And the crocodile says, really? And the turtle says, yes, you're related to the Dimetrodon.
No.
Oh, God.
and then your boy Dimetrodon jumps into the water. Wait a minute. Oh God, this is spoiling my
This is cursed.
Here we go.
This is straight up cursed.
If that is not a meme format, I don't know what is.
I don't know what is. This is just...
Doesn't even have a sail.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. It doesn't even have a sail. It's just.
Babe, come over. I can't find my snail.
I mean, guys,
but my parents aren't home.
It's a Dimetrodon, so just.
And then I haven't got a screenshot, but it then wanders out onto land and it's wandering about on its back legs.
Oh, okay. Now it's just completely cursed. They've just gone through the absolutely just mega cursed format. Just why? Why would anybody do that? Okay, this was the number 1. I'm not gonna argue. This is the number 1. Just wow.
They don't get any worse than this.
They just don't.
I mean, to be honest, the TV show in question probably also has the worst pterosaur, the worst Tyrannosaurus, the worst Triceratops.
Oh, I've seen the Triceratops. Yeah,
we've seen the those are Triceratops, Baloo. So yeah, that's the. Oh, there's a bonus one which is actually a really good image. I just wanted to share it with everyone because it's honestly side splitting. So this was around all yesterday's time. Mike Kesey did this brilliant pop art of a Dimetrodon.
What?
There's a slightly more conventional version of that, but this is
Okay,
probably
I know what I'm going to do with this picture.
Okay, there's a more normal one, but the pop art you can't beat. Feed Lovelace.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
Why? No. Why would anybody do that?
I'm seeing that.
I need bleach, please.
So part of your art contest. Now, how about we add to the sort of, you've got your bioluminescent Dimetrodon, but what if we do a combo of all of these beautiful Dimetrodon images in one, where it's sort of got, it's breathing fire with a thagomizer and missing sail, and it's walking around on its back legs, and it's wrestling a guy, and
it has a snake tongue.
Snake tongue.
Yeah.
And it's also feeding its young with milk.
Yes.
And it's bioluminescent.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's obviously.
Yeah, sure. Of course. And it has a sail, a double sail, like 3 sails. Because
it has the side sails.
Just the side sails, no sail on the back.
Just the spikes on the back and 2 sails.
See, I think 2 sails.
I will have to draw that. Oh god. Well then. This was an interesting one.
Very.
How much have we been recording right now? 2 hours?
1 hour and 50 minutes at least.
Yeah.
1 hour and 55.
My
55.
god.
Oh yeah, that's our longest episode yet. Our longest episode. Why am I saying our longest episode yet?
Oh, okay, that.
I mean, technically it's also the longest video I've ever been involved in, but
Yeah.
This was fun. This was fun.
Epic. We still need to do an outro.
Yeah.
Here's seeing if we do an addendum. I mean, that being said, not much ever gets published on Dimetrodon, so I don't see us doing an addition at the end.
Yeah.
Based on your research. But yeah.
Paper comes out. Just
that's it. let me just quickly check Twitter before logging off with this one.
Tag Dimetrodon, let's go. Speaking of which, follow me on Twitter at sailbackpelicasaur.
By the way,
Permian Sailback. Actually, I'm not sure which one I am.
I think Permian Sailback.
It's Permian Sailback. See, I can't even remember which username I'm using.
Yeah, we need to shout you out, but like
we need to shout you out. Not do a shout out. We need to shout you out.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's Permian Sailback.
I mean, to be fair,
we'll be linking obviously. Well, obviously linking in the description below YouTube and Twitter, obviously.
Yeah.
Wait, link your Twitter. I actually wanna, because I feel guilty not actually knowing.
Are we gonna do this during the podcast? Like right now? We still haven't finished,
Okay,
no, this is just the outro bit that's just gonna be edited down, hopefully.
Nope. Probably not.
This is not. This is just it. This is just going to be uploaded where it's just us discussing how we're going to end this episode.
Yes. Exactly.
Musical cover, probably. I think that's generally the best way to end anything, really.
Well, we're going to... I mean, I honestly don't know. We've said so many things that, like, if you comment down below, you could get a heart. Because we do that at the end, sometimes. When we remember, we're really inconsistent. But thank you all so much for watching. Thank you to Edaph for dropping by. It was very nice having you.
Indeed.
And if you ever feel like dropping by, of course, let us know.
If you do another one on Permian things, I suppose.
Yeah.
Organoxid. Well, I don't know.
We'll do one in 5 years when the next documentary to feature the Permian comes out.
Yeah. Yeah, all right. Or if you do, I don't know, a primeval special, you know, I'm
True.
around. Prehistoric
Yes.
Park, you know, that's all my stuff.
True.
You know?
Yo-Yo, have you seen Prehistoric Park?
That is what?
It's
What?
the show with Nigel Marvin, where he
No.
goes back in time to kidnap prehistoric animals.
That sounds like an amazing concept, but I haven't.
Have you not seen Prehistoric?
Like, look. Okay, look.
Okay, Yo-Yo is
Okay.
our
There's no
media
t-
version
that's no
of
time
it.
to bully
Let's
me.
put this in context. You know that Last Day of the Dinosaurs video we uploaded? That was his first and only documentary.
Look now.
He's a paleo media version, basically.
I am.
Yeah.
I really am.
You're a
Yeah.
perversion? No, I don't know.
What? Yo-Yo, you're a perversion.
Yes, you're a perversion of the reality of.
I mean, many of the documentaries are just gonna scare me anyway. Like, what the? It's the worst designs ever. Oh my God.
They just find a version of Walking with Beasts with all the sex scenes edited out.
Wow. So
Yeah.
if you want to watch Prehistoric Park but don't have the time to watch the actual Prehistoric Park, you could always watch a 17-year-old version of myself reviewing Prehistoric Park
No,
4 years
actually,
ago.
I will. You know what? I will.
Really poorly edited and very high-pitched voice. Does it sound like this or something? Oh, the really interesting thing about this episode of Primeval of Prehistoric Park.
Oh no! I get sassy flashbacks.
Oh my God.
I am sorry. I sorry. Sorry, sassy. I know you. If you're gonna watch this, I'm sorry. Okay.
You can just edit this out, you know.
Nah.
No.
Ah.
But yes, anyways, before we go even more, and now that I believe we have actually hit 2 hours, which is
Yay.
totally not what I was
Yay.
trying to do by stalling this ending. Thank you all for watching. Thank you, Adaf, and we'll be seeing you in the next one, whatever
Bye.
that one may be.
Yeah.
See ya.
Bye.
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 Yay.
Okay. Yay.
Okay, that's the
ended it.
outro, and then we stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you don't edit this bit out, and so it's still in the video, and then people are just like, "What the hell is this?"
Well, not the biggest of introductions, because basically we goofed, and also science
We?
marches on.
We
I goofed.
goofed.
I goofed. Okay, I goofed, but we're getting to that later. First of all, quite inevitably, science marched on. Quite frustratingly.
Literally
It
the
did
day
so-
afterwards. Literally the day after we recorded this, science moved on.
The story of his channel, I suppose.
Yeah, it's just our luck. So we mentioned earlier on in the podcast how we're unsure as to the species of the German Edaphosaurus featured in Walking with Monsters, and also what size the specimens are, because the German Dimetrodon shown quote unquote that that inspired the Walking with Monsters Dimetrodon is Dimetrodon teutonis, which is really small. It's 50-60 centimeters long. And we were wondering if the German Edaphosaurus is equally small, so that the ratio was maintained, even though the Dimetrodon is, of course, much larger than in reality in Walking with Monsters. So was the Edaphosaurus similarly small? The answer, well, yes, but actually no. And what happened was a new paper, a really interesting one, on Edaphosaurines in Europe was published, like we said, the day after recording the episode. It clarifies that the German species of Edaphosaurus is Edaphosaurus credneri. The other species of Edaphosaurus from Europe, Edmontosaurus mirabilis, is from the Czech Republic.
Montosaurus.
Did I say Edmontosaurus?
It's Montosaurus mirabilis,
Okay.
yeah.
Edaphosaurus mirabilis was found from the Czech Republic. We're not going to dwell too much on Edaphosaurus mirabilis because it has no bearing on Walking with Monsters, but the paper finds it to actually be distinct from Edaphosaurus and gives it the new genus name Bohemiclavelus mirabilis. That's the new binomial. The one that we're most interested in is Edaphosaurus credneri from Germany. The paper finds it to be a dubious species in that it may just be a member of another species of Edaphosaurus. Specifically because the material is undiagnostic, and the reason for this is that the paper finds it to be juvenile.
And also, it doesn't have a head.
It also doesn't have a head. It's just, as you can see in the picture here, it's just a bit of the body. It's ribs and a bit of the sail.
And they said that those bits of rib and sail sort of kind of look a bit sort of halfway between Ianthrosaurus and Edaphosaurus.
Sort of, kinda, maybe.
Kinda, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, we know that Edaphosaurus's sails would have grown drastically with life, including the spikes. So the spike shape, those little protuberances on the sail cannot be used as diagnostic features, as they may have changed with ontogeny. So basically, it's now dubious, as on a species level. But what is also very interesting is that, as we said, it's juvenile, and the paper confirms that the specimen, in fact, was thought of as a dwarf species of Edaphosaurus. Just like Dimetrodon is, and Dimetrodon teutonis was and still is thought of as dwarf, Edaphosaurus would have at the time, from like the 1940s, when it was discovered, Edaphosaurus credneri was thought of as dwarf, also around 50 to 60 centimeters long. So yeah, the ratio is actually fairly decent between the walking monsters Dimetrodon and Edaphosaurus. But then, not anymore. Because
then we decided to take it a bit further. Oh, hang on. No, I'll let you do your bit first.
Yeah,
sorry.
But of course, walking monsters Edaphosaurus is now outdated because this would have been a juvenile of a larger individual, your more traditional size.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it might have still been not as big as like a big old Edaphosaurus bonajas or Pogonias from Texas, but it would still have been decent.
The paper also goes into name another better preserved adult Edaphosaurid specimen that was recently discovered in Germany, Remigiomontanus robustus, but that's neither here nor there. It's a pretty good paper, so check it out if you want. But the discovery that Edaphosaurus Edaphosaurus credneri was thought to be a dwarf Edaphosaurine from Germany, led to us looking into a little bit more of the paleoecology and the other wildlife in Dimetrodon teutonis's formation. I would just like to point out quickly that Edaphosaurus credneri is not from the same formation as Dimetrodon teutonis. Dimetrodon teutonis is from the Tambach formation, but Edaphosaurus is from the Niederhaslik formation. I hope I didn't butcher that.
Wait, do you happen to know how it's written?
Yes, I do. I'll just be posting it here. There it is.
Niederhaslik?
Okay. Niederhaslik. Okay. So that's the information. That's how it's spelled. Yeah, I'm copy-pasting from the paper.
And it's probably Niederhaslik.
So yet further pointing out how Edaphosaurus and Dimetrodon weren't as compatible as everyone likes to think they are.
Yes, exactly. They did not share the same formations. That's another big one. But yeah, so we looked into the Tambach formation, and we found that there's actually a lot of dwarf life from that formation. It's really interesting formation.
So we started with Seymoria because that's the third one in Walking with Monsters.
Yes, the species is Seymoria sanjuanensis, I believe.
Sanjuanensis, but not very close to San Juan in New Mexico, whatever it is.
But so
what? Probably it's the same... a whole bunch of San Juans
all over the place. Yeah, it's quite a sort of widespread species.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's from both areas, but yeah. So what we found about the German specimens of Seymoria sanjuanensis, they're about half the size of the North American one.
About a foot long.
Yeah. So for the people using the normal system, that would be 30 centimeters approximately.
I don't know why I said a foot because I use centimeters as well, but yeah, 30 centimeters.
No, we're using the proper one.
Metric is a superior system.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing there is the fact that that's 30 centimeters. Dimetrodon teutonis is 60 centimeters. So that wouldn't, although they're both dwarfs, that wouldn't keep the scaling from Walking with Monsters, because in that one, the Seamoria is a really small little.
Yeah, it's really it's like
iguana-sized animal, and then
one fourth, 1/5 of the Dimetrodon, I believe. Just eyeballing it.
The ratio isn't as much, but it's still there.
Yes, it's still noticeable.
Yeah. And we continued looking into the Tambak Formation, and we got quite a lot more coming out. You found, I believe, Diadectes?
Yep, Diadectes. I'm just trying to remember how big we found that one out to be. But it was sort of... I'm
looking.
Yeah. We'll edit this, it's fine.
No, we won't.
You will edit this, that's right.
No, I won't.
Yeah, here we go. Diadectes diadectomorpha from early Permian of central Germany. New species.
See, the thing is, you can't just Control F in the paper.
Yeah,
it sucks because it's like actual paper.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. It was Lower Permian Tambak Formation. The Diadectes abscitus, and it was from, I think, the picture about 50, 60 centimeters long.
How many? You cut out for me, not for the audience, but for me.
Probably about
how many centimeters?
50, 60 centimeters, I think.
Oh, okay.
I think based on the 10 centimeter bar and sort of just working that out, eyeballing it. Yeah, it's.
So, how long would the, let's say, American variant be?
Yeah, that was quite a bit bigger, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was 2 meters, sometimes 3 meters, I think.
Yeah.
It was.
So
it was
again,
one of the
a
bigger
similar
animals
ratio
there.
with the Edaphosaurus and Dimetrodon. Well, quote unquote Edaphosaurus. That was then thought to be dwarf. Now we can't say that anymore because it's a juvenile. But yes, there was actually it would have been a similar size to Dimetrodon both in America and in Germany, despite the size differences in both. The ratio was still the same. Personally, I'm starting to buy into the idea now of Dimetrodon and all of these animals being uniquely adapted to a wetter environment, because the mountainous nature of the Tambak Formation, as in it would have been very mountainous, very inland, very terrestrial, would serve to explain why all of these genera, which would have of course been occupying different niches, would have been smaller.
Yeah.
Because it's not
definitely pretty interesting to see these dwarf versions of the North American fauna in Germany.
Yes, especially since there was one animal there that was actually gigantic. And I am talking now about the Bolosaurids. We've already got one named from the formation, which is Edaphosaurus, which is the first known bipedal vertebrate. It's a lizard that ran on 2 legs.
Oh, lizard. Not
quote unquote, not actually reptile. There we go, reptile. Sorry,
you're giving me primeval flashbacks there.
Parareptile, unless I'm mistaken.
Yes, it's parareptilian. Yes, but the first known reptile to exhibit bipedalism. Now, Edaphosaurus is only 25 centimeters long, but they recently announced at an SVP meeting, Society of Vertebrate Paleontology, at a meeting over there, they announced that they had found a new specimen of Bolosaurid from that formation, which is a giant, relatively giant, of course, bipedal reptile like Eudebamus might even be the adult Eudebamus. Eudebamus is not necessarily thought of as being juvenile, but a new specimen might change that up. But whatever the case, we have a giant bipedal bolosaur, which is, they say, the largest vertebrate in the formation. I'll share a picture here that was done by Trollmans of what it would have been like.
And it would therefore sort of also play into the idea that this was a more arid, dry, desert environment. The idea that the biggest sort of top animal there is this sort of running thing that's running on its back legs, sort of over the bit like a frilled dragon.
Into the future almost.
Sorry?
With diapsids ruling out the synapsids.
Yes. Yeah, it's quite an interesting reversal as well, and I'm honestly loving this formation now, and I can't wait for this new one to be described, the new Volosaurid.
It's definitely really intriguing. Cool. Also, I have to say, I love the art piece.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
that's really good.
It looks a little bit like a goofy kangaroo reptile, to be honest.
It's probably what it would have been like.
It's just a plus point.
Yeah,
especially the inclusion of the tiny Dimetrodon in the picture. It's fantastic.
And the Dimetrodon itself is fantastic. I mean, with the exposed tips, everything. It's obviously not exposed tips are necessary, but the way that they are depicting this hypothetical feature in D. teutonis is really well done.
Yeah, and consistent with what we know about Dimetrodons. And discussed in the rest of the episode.
Yeah.
Which, if you're listening to, has just happened.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it for the papers and the like. But now we get to the part where I goof.
Yes.
Now,
goof.
I mentioned after we discuss the Walking Monsters Dimetrodon appearance, we go on to the Leaps in Evolution Dimetrodon from NHK. And I mentioned that the sequence shows a group, 4 adult Dimetrodons, chasing a slightly smaller reptile. And for some reason, I think it's Edaphosaurus. Let me just share a picture here to show you how totally accurate I was with that classification.
That's totally Edaphosaurus.
It's the one on the left. Yep.
Yep. Those 2 are the Dimetrodon, and for some reason I remembered those sailless, short-tailed animals as being Edaphosaurus. So I completely goofed.
Well, at least I'm not the only one screwing up in this podcast, which is a relief. But
now Edaphosaurus has, I believe, reasonably identified them as being the aforementioned Diadectes.
Yeah, they're sort of big, stocky amphibians. Not many things look like them, other than, I guess, other Diadectimorphs. But those are Diadectes.
Yeah, the biggest one. This is very likely set in North America with Dimetrodon. Dimetrodon. Which one was it?
Grandis.
Dimetrodon Grandis. I always want to say Dimetrodon gigas for some reason.
Yeah, that'll be the 14th species or something.
Yeah.
Creatively named as well.
Creatively named. I was just, it's a big one. I'll just slap the word gigas on it. Yeah.
Yeah, we've already got Grandis. We've always got Gigan Homogeneous. Just Gigas fits right in.
Yeah.
So that's it. I just wanted to clear that up, and these guys made me, publicly apologize for it.
Sins against the Permian are not to be taken lightly.
Yeah. So that's it. Hopefully there won't be another addendum at the end of this.
Then tomorrow's just a new paper.
We got another week time.
Yep.
Yeah, we've got one more week left to make this.
Want to discover that Dimetrodon actually 2-sailed Dimetrodon, which is fluorescent. That's what's going to come out tomorrow.
Yeah. Hopefully we're not going to be seeing you again in this episode. But but we will.
You heard it. Your first podcast is cancelled.
Hopefully, you will never see.
But we will be seeing you again next week, as planned. So, as always, stay tuned until then, and we'll see you then. Bye.
Yeah.
I won't necessarily see you then.